Hi, yogis. Good afternoon, almost evening. It looks like we may get a storm coming through. Hopefully we won't lose our Wi-Fi, but we could use the chill off. So we're going to be doing just a nice stretch class this evening, and then followed by some restorative postures. I always get overly ambitious with my restorative postures and think I can do more than I can. So we're going to just see where this goes this evening. So we'll get started. I've got Trish and Nancy are here today, but we also have Donna, Sandy, and Sharon. We're going to pick up the class virtually a little bit later. So we'll get started. Make sure I'm recording. Yep. Good. So finding a seat that's comfortable for your body. I've been sitting at my desk all day working and came over here on 2 wheels, so my hips are feeling pretty tight. So I'm going to give myself a little support. You can use a blanket underneath your hips. You can use a couple blocks to sit on, or even a bolster if you have one. Just finding a way to sit as comfortable as possible, and you don't have to be in cross-legged pose. You can have one leg out or both legs out. Beginning to find and feel the breath. Watching your breath as it comes into and out of your body, not trying to change or shape the breath, just let it come and go. With each exhalation, allowing your shoulders to soften away from your neck. Release your neck away from your head. Part your teeth. Even let the cheeks kind of drip towards the floor. We're going to do a nice balanced practice this evening, followed by some restorative postures. And I know sometimes at home we don't have the same props that we have in the yoga studio, but that's kind of what's cool about doing yoga virtually, is that you can improvise and find ways to use different things in the house to support your practice. And restoratives are so healing. So many different benefits that you can receive from including a restorative practice as part of your week. And we're going to play with a little bit of these postures. Hopefully I'll get through all of them, but we'll get through a couple of them towards the end of our practice. So we'll go for about 45 minutes, and then we'll try to get a couple of restorative postures. But let's take just another breath or two here. Releasing your chin towards your heart, gently blink your eyes open, lift your heads. Good. Straighten our legs out in front. Bringing your hands to the top of your right leg, get your right leg moving back and forth. I'm just going to make sure I haven't gotten a text from Sandy because I'm surprised she's not here. Bear with me. Nope, we're good. Okay, switch to the other side. Let's keep my phone on. Do not disturb. Okay. And then crossing your right leg over your left, interlace fingers and toes, shake hands with your foot. So you're just making some space between your toes, not forcing the toes open, and just giving some circles here, opening up the foot. Separating your finger nice and wide, stretching your toes out. Move your fingers, draw your foot towards you, press away, and then holding on to your toe, giving each toe a little twist and turn, opening up the joints of your toes. Once you're finished working your toes, spend some time on the ball of your foot, massaging your foot out, and then working your way around the foot. Eventually coming up to the big toe side, the little toe side of your foot. Hold your foot, shake your foot out. And give a little clap out and rub it out. We'll switch over to the other side, crossing left over right, making space in between the toes. Just inviting the foot to open up, never forcing the toes open. You don't want to overstretch all these tiny ligaments and muscles and bones in here. Good. Separate your fingers nice and wide. Remove your fingers, draw your foot towards you. Big stretch through the top of the foot, press your foot away, and then hold your foot, giving your toes TLC, a little twist and turn in both directions, opening up the joints of your toes. Just working your way around the toes. And then eventually the ball of the foot. And the whole foot. Making your way back up to the big toe side and little toe side of your foot. Hold your foot, shake your foot out. Give a little rub out, clap out. Great. So we won't do the tennis ball because Nancy doesn't have a tennis ball. I don't want you just sitting there twiddling your thumbs. So you guys that like to use a tennis ball, you can do your tennis ball work after practice or pause the recording and do your tennis ball work. We're going to meet on tabletop pose, all fours. And you might want support underneath your knees. You'd like to have a little extra support underneath your knees. We're coming into tabletop yogis, and we're just going to start moving a little bit here. So setting up well, wrists in line with your shoulders and then slightly in front of the shoulders. Take a look at your knees. It should be right under your hips and just a little bit behind the hips. So thinking of being nice and long in the side body. On an exhale, let's shift the hips back towards the heels into child's pose. Take it back up on an inhale. Maybe the heart lifts, tailbone lifts a little bit, and then rounding it back. And just keep moving here and finding some organic movement for your body. Maybe it's a cat-cow, maybe it's coming in and out of child's pose, maybe the hip circle. Just take the next, 30, 45 seconds to just feel your body. You've been pretty stagnant all day like I have at my desk, walking around as much as you can, but when you're in a desk job like I am, like many of us are, it takes a little while for the tissue to start to soften and warm up. Just take this time to move a little bit. Good. From here, we're going to float the right arm out to the side, getting ready to thread the needle here. On an exhale, just take the hand and the arm underneath the left arm just for a moment and then open back up. So just pulsing this a little bit, take 2 more. And on this third one, you're going to come all the way down into your twist, threading the needle. And you might have your left arm, left hand moving away from the body. You might have it up towards the ceiling and maybe doing some wrist circles. Lots of different options, even bringing the back of your left hand to your sacrum, palm faces the ceiling. Find where you're comfortable here and take 3 more breaths. If you want to increase the twist, you can bring your left hand right back down to the floor and press into the earth. That'll rotate the body a little bit and open up into a little bit of a deeper twist, but we're still warming up, so be careful. Good, let's slowly Everybody bring hand back down and unwind. Open up here just for a moment. And then find your tabletop pose. Settle here. Be still or move a little bit before we come into the other side. This time, left arm lifts up. On an exhale, threading the needle here, drawing left arm behind the right. Finding what works best for your body on this side. Maybe you're keeping the hand on the floor to help support your twist. Finding maybe one of those other options that your body's calling for tonight. 3 more breaths here. Good, and then we'll slowly release, unwind, float the arm up for just a second and pause here. Let's take a child's pose. Reaching hips back towards the heels. A couple of nice deep breaths here, really softening the space between your shoulder blades, guys. And then we're going to modify our child's pose. Bring your right leg out to the side into a gate pose, gate position. I'm reaching my right foot straight out, right leg straight out, reaching the pinky toe side of my right foot into the floor as best I can. And then slowly with control, come back into child's pose. If this doesn't feel good, don't do it. Stay with the regular child's pose. You're going to get a deep stretch if your leg is out to the side into the inside of the leg. Won't be here for too long. Good, let's come back up, inhale, keep the leg where it is. And now pick your right leg up, sweep it straight back behind you, all the way over to the left, and lean into your right hip. So you should be feeling a stretch into the outside of the right rib cage. Could even be into your hip a little bit. Another big breath here. Feel that opening through your side body. Float your right leg straight back and then bring it down. Take a child's pose, little breather. We're going to do the same thing with the other side, yogis. Back to your tabletop. This time, left leg comes out. Find that knife's edge on the pinky toe side of your left foot. And again, slowly come back. So test the waters here. If it feels okay, you can sit all the way back onto your heel. Feeling that deep stretch into the groin, inside of the leg, and breathe. Good, back up to your tabletop. Float your left leg up, reach it straight back behind you and swing it all the way behind you over to the right, and then lean into your left hip. So I'm feeling a big stretch through the whole left side of my body, into my waist, even into the leg a little bit. Everybody's going to feel this differently, different spots. Good, and then we'll float the leg straight back and bring yourself back into tabletop. Let's find our first downward facing dog tonight, yogis. Turn your toes under, shift your hips back and come on up and just walk it out here. Whatever feels good. Again, we're going to take another 30, 45 seconds. I'll be right back. Getting dark outside. Good, after you've walked your dog out a little bit, felt some stretch through the backs of the legs, maybe pedaling the knees. We'll come forward to a high plank, shoulders over wrists, nice and strong in your plank pose, guys. So reach your heels back, drag the heels of your hands back so the heart comes forward a little bit, and then take it back, downward facing dog. Couple more here on your breath, inhaling to your plank. Exhale, take it back, downward facing dog. Good, last one, come forward to your plank, holding here, and then lowering down, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga dandasana. Take it to a baby cobra or upward facing dog. On an exhale, find your downward facing dog. And if the vinyasa feels good for you, coming through a couple rounds of flow, go for it. Take your time getting there. Know you can always skip the flow. When you feel complete in your flow, your vinyasa, we'll find child's pose once again and just take another little breather. No rush, take your time. Good, let's inhale to fours, exhale, downward facing dog, just a breath or two here in your dog pose before walking your feet up to your hands into Uttanasana, forward fold here. Soft knees, yogis. Take a couple movements here, halfway lift. Exhale, unfold, let your head go. 4 more, moving with your breath. When you finish your last one, just stay in your forward fold. Maybe shake your head yes or no. Again, keeping a gentle bend in your knees. And then we'll slowly make our way to standing, walking your hands up your legs. I'm going to just change my view on my computer. Finding your mountain pose. Swing it out here. Just let the arms go. We're going to swing here for another moment or two and then find our blocks and bring them up to the front of our mat. Good. Coming back after you've found your blocks into your mountain pose. We'll come to the top of our mats. Sweeping arms up, inhale. Exhale and lower. Just moving with your breath here, guys. Just taking a few more breaths. Don't lock your knees. Keep the knees soft. Starting to open up that range of motion in the shoulders. Next time the arms come up, let's interlace the fingers and point your pointer fingers up towards the sky. Take it over to the right, back to our side flexion here. Back up to center and to the left. And just, again, ebb and flow here. Just playing with the stretch into the side body. Next time you come up to center, reach your fingertips straight up, maybe a little look up and a little back. So we're feeling a little bit of a back bend. Tailbone draws down towards your heels. Keep breathing. And then we'll release the hands full forward, soft knees. Halfway lift and fold, coming all the way back up. Press into the earth, come all the way back up. And back down again into your half sun salutations. Exhale and fold. Halfway lift, release, Come on, all the way up. Last one. Halfway lift. Warming up the hamstrings with this movement. Come all the way up. Palms together over your hearts. Pausing here. We're going to stay with the flow and add a nice flow. Sweeping arms up. Inhale. Exhale and fold. Halfway lift. Step your right leg back into a lunge, and we're going to just hold the lunge here for a moment. Right leg is back into your lunge. You can always bring your blocks up to a higher setting like I am. Taking a nice few breaths here, really reaching through your back heel. Try to straighten your right leg and breathe. This is the longest we're going to hold this lunge as we come through this flow. One more breath here, and then release your back knee down to the floor. If you need a blanket, take care of your knee and give yourself some support. We're going to sweep the arms up and find a low lunge. Again, we're going to hold this one a little bit, but when we come into the flow, we're going to move through it a little bit quicker. But just to get that nice low lunge here, sinking into your left hip. Good. Exhale, release your hands back down to your blocks. Find your lunge. So you're on the ball of your back foot. Step your back foot forward. We're back into our forward fold. Hands will come behind your back here now for an optional shoulder stretch. You might just keep the hands at the sacrum like I am, or you might move them up towards the ceiling, but just be gentle here. Take care of your shoulders. If the arms are lifted up towards the sky, bring them back down to your sacrum. Release the cross of the hands and sweep all the way back up. Right into the other side. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift. Here comes our lunge. This time, left leg steps back into a lunge. And we're again going to hold this one a little bit longer than we will when we come through this flow a little quicker. Extend through your back heel. Really think about opening the back of your left knee to the sky. Keeping that blanket down on the floor if you need it. Let your back knee drop. Supported by the earth and the blanket, sweep the arms up. Here we come into our low lunge again. I'm sinking into my right hip. I'm breathing, holding, stretch. And then release. Step your back foot forward. We're back in that shoulder stretch again. Optional, hands interlace. And then we'll come bringing hands back down. Release all the way up. Palms together over heart center. Shoulders relaxed. We're going to go through that flow a little bit faster. Just one more time. We'll add some standing poses and then we'll start to make our way into some restoratives. Inhale, lift. Exhale and fold. Halfway lift. Step your right leg back. This time we bring the knee right down to the floor and sweep the arms forward and up. Low lunge. Exhale, fold forward. Step your back foot forward. Hands interlace behind the back. Maybe a shoulder stretch comes in here. And then release the hands back down. Sweep them all the way up. Into the other side. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Step the left leg back. Left knee drops. Here comes our low lunge. Arms sweep up. Sink into the hip. Exhale, fold forward. Step your back foot forward for that shoulder stretch. Release the hands back down. Sweep the arms, come all the way up. Palms together over heart center. Relax here. Release your arms. Separate your feet and we'll swing it out. Hopefully we're feeling a little warmed up to do some standing poses. I'm going to come back over to the side here. You guys are still going to be at the top of your mats, so just staying at the top of your mats with your blocks. Finding mountain pose, letting your body settle here. We'll sweep arms up, inhale. Exhale, fold forward, soft knees. Halfway lift. This time, step back into downward facing dog. Just walk yourself back. Find downward facing dog. We're going to float the right leg straight back behind you. Keep your hips pointing towards the floor. Really press your hands away from you, towards the front of your mat as you reach your right foot back. So you're getting nice and long in your dog pose. And then on an exhale, step your right foot forward, find your lunge. Blocks are here if you need them. So we're back in our lunge again. Lunge should feel a little bit more open from the first time we came into this pose. And we're going to add a twist now. Bringing your blocks onto either side of your right foot. Bring your right hand to your hip. Right hand comes to your hip. And then we take a twist to the right. Maybe you float the right arm up. I'm going to keep my right hand on my hip tonight, but maybe your shoulder feels open enough that you can float the arm up. Keep reaching through your back heel. Good, and then we'll release back into our lunge. Bringing your awareness now into your left foot, that's your back foot. Drop it, the left heel down to the floor at about a 15 to 30 degree angle. The whole left foot is into the floor. Bring your left hand to your hip and start to press into the ball of your right foot to straighten your right leg. So I'm bringing my block up to its highest setting here, the block that's on the outside of my right foot. And so we're in triangle legs, but I'm still looking down at the floor. I haven't opened up into triangle yet. I want the legs nice and stable. And now feeling solid and strong, start to rotate your right rib cage up towards the ceiling. Maybe your head follows, maybe you're looking out over the horizon, or you can keep looking down at the floor. But now the torso is rotated, and then I add the arm. So coming into a nice open Utthita Trikonasana. Breathe. Just experience length through the upper torso, the left side of the rib cage, and the right side of the rib cage to feel open. It shouldn't feel crunched. Maybe you come up on your blocks a little bit. We're going to do some shoulder circles here, guys. We're reaching your top arm towards the front of your mat. As you exhale, drop the shoulder and sweep the arm down and back up. Let's do a couple more of these, moving with your breath. It should feel really good. Last one. We'll meet in triangle. Feel your feet into the floor. You can see I'm looking down at the floor because it doesn't feel good for my neck to look up anymore. So looking down at the floor, maybe feel your feet into the floor, press into the earth and come all the way up. Reverse the pose, right arm lifts up. Should feel nice length through the right side of your body. And then we'll windmill the hands down to the floor. Find your lunge once again. You're on the ball of your back foot once again. Right foot is forward in your lunge. And let's step it back and find our flow. You might just hold in downward facing dog. You might come through around a flow. So just listen to your body. What does your body want to do tonight? We're going to meet in mountain pose at the top of our mat and do the other side. So eventually making your way into your forward fold. Don't zone out here, really enjoy the journey back to standing. Maybe there's a spot where you want to hold a little bit and feel a stretch. We'll meet palms together over heart center and do the other side. So you're still at the top of your mat. I'm just switching so that you guys can see me if you lose your spot. So staying at the top of your mat. Arms sleep up, inhale. Exhale and fold. Halfway lift. This time you step the left foot back. Oh, let's step back forward again. I did that wrong. Come halfway up and fold. Let's come all the way up. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift. Downward facing dog. Walk it back. Your dog pose should be feeling a little bit more open. We're going to float the left leg up this time, keeping the hips square. Reach your left leg, left foot straight back. Press your hands away from you to melt your heart back. Breathe here. And then on an exhale, step the left foot forward into your lunge. Holding your lunge pose here. Nice and easy in the breath. Preparing for our twist, bringing your blocks onto either side of your left foot. Left hand comes to the hip, and then you twist to the left. Breathing here. Reaching your back heel powerfully back towards the back of your mat. Big opening here. One more nice deep breath, and then release. Hands come back down to your blocks. Releasing your back heel down to the floor at about a 15 to 30 degree angle. Here comes our setup for triangle pose, guys. I've got my right hand on my hip. I'm pressing into the ball of my left foot to straighten my left leg. I'm not rushing into this. I really want to feel nice and open and long in my upper body. I've got my block to the outside of my left foot, so I'm supported. And only once I've got all that set, then I start to open up, rolling left rib cage up towards the sky, towards the ceiling, and then maybe floating the right arm up. So again, we're still finding this, it looks beautiful, guys, finding this nice openness in our triangle pose. And maybe we're not coming as deep as we normally do, but we're feeling this expansion through the chest. Keep inviting the rib cage to roll up towards the sky. And then let's find our circles here, reaching your top arm towards the front of your mat, and then drop the shoulder and sweep it back around, taking some nice big shoulder circles here. Good. Big breaths. Don't hold your breath. Meet in our triangle once again. I'm still going to be looking down at the floor here. Feel your feet into the floor. To come up, press into the earth. Come all the way up. Reverse the pose. Left arm floats up. Good. This time, we're not going to come and do a lunge. We're going to bring arms parallel to the floor. Feet come parallel to the floor. So you're facing on the long side of your mat. Getting ready for a wide leg forward fold. Bring your hands to your hips. On an exhale, take a forward fold. And any position for your arms here, guys. So you can walk the hands away from you for a meet and greet dog. You can walk them behind you. There's lots of options. Find the big toes with your peace fingers. I love this one. Twist is nice in this pose. So just play with this again. We'll take another, 30 seconds just to experience some symmetry here after all of that asymmetrical movement in that series we just did. And then why don't we all walk our hands forward, reach your sitting bones back into a meet and greet dog. Take a breath in as you breathe out. Tippy toe your fingertips to the left and draw your right hip back behind you. So again, we're coming into the side body here. I love stretching my side body. It's just a part of the body we always tend to ignore. Come back to center. And then walk it over to the right. This time, draw your left hip back. Feel that stretch through the whole left side of your body. It might even come up into your tricep. Breathe. One side might be tighter than the other. This side is much, much tighter than for me. Just notice that. Observe. Good, we're going to keep tippy-toeing to the right, guys. Pivot on the ball of your back foot. So pivoting on the ball of your left foot. Step it back. Find your dog pose, find your flow. We're going to meet on our bellies. So you can come through a couple rounds of the vinyasa if you'd like, eventually coming all the way down onto your belly and resting. Making your way down to the floor. No rush. Good. Once you come down onto the floor, just let your body settle for a few breaths. Let your head go. We've been pretty consistent in our movement tonight without a lot of break. Let's just take a little break here. Feeling the whole body supported by the earth. For our last pose before we move into some restoratives, we'll just take a nice, easy belly back bend. Relax your legs, let your heels roll out towards the outside edges of your mat. Hands are in line with your chest, elbows up towards the ceiling like little grasshopper wings. Chin or forehead comes to the floor. On your next inhale, just lift the heart. I'm isometrically dragging my hands back a little bit, but not too much effort. Coming into a nice, easy baby cobra. As you exhale, come halfway down. Draw the chin in slightly so the back of your neck is long. Inhale, come back up, all the way up. And then exhale, come all the way back down to the floor and pause. Take a breath here. We're going to do that 3 more times, that little pulse in our cobra pose. So we inhale, lift up, use the muscles in your spine. I can actually lift my hands off the floor here. Exhale, come down halfway, tuck the chin slightly. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, all the way back down. 2 more. Take your time, take a breath in between rounds if you need to. When you finish your last one, any position for your head and neck, maybe bending the knees, windshield wipering the feet, just taking a moment to release the low back. Take your time. Yeah, and once you've moved a little bit, we'll make our way into child's pose. Sometimes a downward facing dog might feel good as you transition to that deeper forward bend. But we'll meet all together in child's pose. Taking 3 to 5 breaths in Balasana. And when you feel ready to move, come onto your backs. We're going to do a little mini Shavasana before we transition and do some restorative postures. So you can make your way onto your back. Get a drink if you need one. Just coming onto your back and resting. Just let the body go here. Good. Eventually bending your knees, placing your feet on the floor, maybe drawing your knees into your heart, giving yourself a little hug. And then I'll invite you to eventually come up to seated, and we'll get set up for our first restorative pose, which is going to be Mountain Brook pose. I'll get myself a little bit closer so you guys can see what I'm doing. Just mute you first. Okay. So the first pose we're going to get into tonight is Mountain Brook pose. And just like a brook kind of rolls over stone, that's exactly what we're going to do, a little bit of a wave motion for our bodies. If you have 3 blankets, you can use 3 blankets. If you have blocks, the blocks can actually go under your knees. If you have 4 blankets, you can use a blanket under your knees, or if you have a bolster, you can use a bolster. So the first thing we're going to set up is the piece for our back, because that's the most important part. So I'm not going to worry about what's under my knees yet. I have another blanket in a long roll that's going to go right where my neck is, right into my cervical spine. So I'm going to put that towards the top of my mat, where my head's going to go. And then this double blanket is just a blanket like I took off the stack and I folded it in half. My teacher, Linda Howard, used to say like a hot dog bun. So I'm just folding this blanket like it comes off the stack. You want a little bit of a height. And again, with these restorative poses, the most important thing is that you're comfortable. And you're going to just test this out. A lot of this is testing out the props and then coming out of the pose before you come fully into it. So when you lay back on these blankets, your blankets, you want them to hit right around the base of your shoulder blades. So right where your scapula kind of comes to a point. And what that will do is give you a big arch into your back. And then I'm going to find my roll and I'm going to lay over my roll. Your head should not necessarily be level. The chin is lifted a little bit, so the throat is open. And then just test this out. And if it feels okay, then come onto your side and press yourself back up. And if you're not sure about this, raise your hand. I can actually unmute us for this. So you guys, if you have questions, you can ask me. I'm going to unmute you guys for this, if I can. Yeah, I can't actually unmute you, but that's okay. So Trish. Yeah, so the blanket should be under your shoulder blades. And then this roll is just for your cervical spine. If you're comfortable, so there's a little space between where the roll is for your head and where the blanket is. If you're comfortable here, Trish, it looks like you have a bolster. You can place a bolster underneath your knees. So you want the bolster to come underneath your knees, or put a blanket or your blocks underneath your knees. And then come down. So you should get this feeling of a wave, right? My shoulder blades are on the blanket. It's giving me a big arch into my spine. My knees are elevated. And just, it's kind of like a rolling brook, like a wave. That's why it's called mountain brook pose. So my feet, my heels are on the floor. I've got a lift in my knees. My belly feels very soft and relaxed. My heart and chest are nice and open, and the back of my neck is supported. So you should feel that roll right into your cervical spine, and the neck and the throat should be open. So the chin is lifted slightly towards the sky. Good. I'm just going to read a little bit about this pose. We're going to be here for a few minutes. Breathing normally now. Bringing arms out into a T position. You've got space. Letting go of all the parts of your body you use to speak. Beginning with the muscles behind your ears, down through the jaw and all the way to the chin. Allow your lips to part slightly and let your tongue rest easily in the mouth. Swallow a few times to release any excess tension in your throat. As you continue to breathe and feel the support of the props, gently bring your attention to your heart. Notice if any feelings come into your awareness as you bring your awareness into the heart. There may not be anything. Just be with whatever that energy is in the heart center today. And now bringing your awareness into your belly. Anatomically, this area begins at the diaphragm, located at the base of the breastbone, and ends in your lower pelvis. With each exhalation, allow your belly to drop towards your spine. See your body softening and spreading, supported by the props and the earth. As you continue to relax, you will feel more spacious and loose. Breathing normally here, enjoying the freedom you have, and feel in the throat, the heart, and the belly. We're going to be here for a few more minutes, about 3 more minutes. I'll watch the clock and we'll cue you when it's time to move and come out of the posture. If your mind wanders, just bring it back to the throat, the heart, the belly. Remember your breath. We're going to come out slowly. Depending on how much room you have, you can come out of this pose 2 ways. We're going to end up on our backs without the props underneath us. The first way is to bring your feet to the floor or to your bolster and kind of push yourself towards your head so that you slide away from the bolster and the blankets. Or if you don't have a lot of space, just take your time, come onto your side, and just move those props out of the way and come back onto your back for a moment and just let your spine settle. Just move slowly with intention and control. Eventually coming back onto your backs and relaxing for a moment. So we'll let things settle. Good. I think I shared with you guys this book that I use. I've used it for as long as I've been teaching. So since 2005 or 6, whenever I started teaching, and I wore the one out so much that I had to buy a new one. But it's a wonderful book, Relax and Renew, with lots of different practices, and these are just a taste of a few of them. The next pose we're going to do is a supported twist. You can make your way up to seated, rolling onto your side and coming up to seated. And we're going to have 2 options for this next series. So if you have a bolster, you can have a bolster at the top of your mat. If you don't have a bolster, you can use a stack of blankets that kind of look like a bolster. And I'm going to have you guys bring your left or your right hip right to the bolster or to your blankets. So your knees are going to be facing out and you're coming sideways with your left or your right hip, depending on which way you're facing and what's comfortable for you, against the bolsters or the blanket. And if you're using a bolster, Trish, then take your bolster and make it go long ways. Yes. My legs are comfortably kind of like little mermaid legs off to the side. And I'm going to bring my hands onto either side of my props, either to the bolster or to your blankets. And then slowly walk yourself down into a twist. It should feel really supported. It shouldn't be feeling like a big stretch. And if you are too low or you need more support, you can grab another blanket, or you can turn over a couple of the blankets that you have to give yourself like a little pillow, or use one of your pillows that you have at home to come into the twist. We're not going to be here as long. We're going to be here for about a minute or 2. As you come into the twist, keep your head turned in the same direction as your knees for a few breaths. And then if your neck feels okay, you can turn your head in the opposite direction of your knees. I can't do that because of my neck issues, but some of you might be able to turn and face the opposite way from your knees. If you've got glasses, take your glasses off and just find a nice, comfortable place here. It should feel very supportive. You should be feeling the twist, but you shouldn't be in crisis. So if any part of your back doesn't feel good, try moving the bolster either towards you or away from you. Or you can bring the bolster a little bit higher. Good, you guys look great. Reclining twist with a bolster is really a chance to untie the physical, emotional, and mental knots that we have been twisted into by living in this fast-paced world. Resting on the bolster now. Relax the space between your shoulder blades. Use each exhalation as a reminder to release into the twist and onto the bolster. This pose stretches the muscles of the entire back. And as you release and breathe, feel longer and longer over the bolster, allowing the body to breathe quietly. We'll be here for about 1 more minute, and then we'll slowly come up and switch to the other side. I'm just watching my timer here. Keep inviting the body to release into the support of your blankets or your props. Relax your tongue. We're going to prepare to come out of this, and just as quietly as we came in, we're going to come out. If your head's turned in the opposite direction of your knees, turn your head back so it's in the same direction as your knees and let your neck adjust. And then slowly start to come out of the pose, pressing your hands into the floor, come all the way up. Slowly turn and face the back of your mat, straighten your legs out, and just let your body adjust here for a second. Shake your legs a little bit and breathe. When you're ready to move to the other side, you're just going to bend your knees, turn your body, and come to the other hip. So I've got my back to you for a second. Set your legs up well, nice and relaxed here, little mermaid legs. And then when you're ready, bring your hands on either side of your bolster. I don't just drop down, I drag my hands back isometrically to find length. So I'm really pulling my hands back so that I get nice and long in my twist before I come all the way down. And then maybe I bring my elbows to the floor. And again, start with your head turned in the same direction as your knees. Okay, for your neck, after a few breaths, you can turn the head in the opposite direction, but don't force it. Letting the body unwind on this side. Once again, relaxing the space between your shoulder blades. Using each exhalation as a reminder to release into the twist and onto the support of the bolster. Stretching the entire back, all the muscles in the back, softening and releasing here. We'll be here for one more minute. Your reclining twist relieves stress in the back muscles and those even along the sides of the body. It also helps to stretch the intercostal muscles, which are the muscles that run between your rib cage, between your ribs. As all these muscles relax, the breath is enhanced and has more space to move through the body. Prepare to come out now. Your head's turned away from your knees. Turn your head towards your knees. Take one or two breaths in this place. And then slowly make your way out of the pose, When you sit up, turn again away from your props and just straighten your legs. Shaking the legs out. So of course I ran out of time. We're not going to do chair, but we're going to do a nice final Shavasana that is a restorative pose. And it's basic relaxation pose with the legs elevated. This pose feels really, really good. So you can use blankets or your bolster. I like to use blankets for this. So I'm bringing 1 or 2 blankets to the bottom of my mat where my feet go. And 1 blanket for underneath my head. And I'm going to lay down with my feet and my legs all the way up to kind of where my knees are on the blankets, and then come back and rest. So you just kind of have to adjust a little bit. And if your legs don't quite fit on the blankets, you can open them up and make them a little bit bigger so that your legs are supported. This is just a wonderful, wonderful pose to do anytime, whether you're doing a restorative practice or not. Just having the legs elevated a little bit, it's just a wonderful release for your low back. I just have to be careful that I don't fall asleep here and Andy finds me in the morning at the studio. What's wonderful about doing restorative poses at home is that when we finish tonight, you can hang out for a while if you want. And if this doesn't feel good on your low back at all, you can always just skip the legs being elevated, bend the knees, place the feet on the floor. If you've got the knees bent, feet on the floor, take your feet wide as your mat and let your knees fall together so you don't have to hold your legs up in space. And that'll just allow you to relax without putting any undue strain on your back. It's 6:42. We'll be here for another 3 minutes or so. But you're welcome to stay longer. Letting your attention rest on the easy rise and fall of the belly. And we're going to take a few centering breaths. Take a nice deep inhale into the belly, into the body, and a long, slow exhale. Just let the breath return to normal. When you feel ready to begin again, take a nice, slow, deep inhalation, followed by a long, slow exhalation, and then several rounds of normal breath until you're ready to come into the centering breath again. Just coming through a few more rounds like that. And then allowing the body to settle. Remember your breath. Just taking your time as you slowly come back into the space. If you don't feel like moving, you're more than welcome to stay on your backs, rest here, or find some movement that feels good for your body. If you feel ready to transition into seated, coming onto your side and sitting up on your own time. Take your time, don't hurry. Bringing palms together over heart center. Bowing together towards our hearts. Namaste. Thank you, yogis.